Contact us.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to Mondays with Mover Live. We're doing a lot of these lately. Today, I am here with Gonky, or I actually spelled his name right in his title card. They can't see you yet, Gonky, don't worry. And we're going to talk about doing the Folds of Honor Fight for Honor 2020. So first things first, please make sure you sign up. It is for charity, for Folds of Honor. You can the links are in the description. You can go to foh.org/fight-for-honor, my website, cwlemoyne.com/fight-for-honor, splash1gaming.com/fight-for-honor. $10 registration fee. There's a whole bunch of prizes, and the winner will get to fight the AI Falco that beat the real fighter pilot, which we'll talk about here in a second. So hopefully everybody can hear Tomcats. So is there Tomcats? Hey, Skid's in the chat. All right, hold on. Let me get Gonky up here. Hello, Gonky.
Hey, what's up, man? What's up, Skid?
As everybody knows, this is Gonky. If you don't know Gonky, let's see. If you don't know Gonky, Gonky's a famous fighter pilot, probably the world's most famous fighter pilot. He is known for his flanker dogfighting abilities. What are you? A Hornet guy, T-38, which is your most important thing you've ever done in your life.
Yeah,
it's currently what we're doing. So we're flying adversary T-38s. So today, this is more for you guys. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we talked about last night. By the way, if you're not subscribed to Gonky's channel, you're wrong. Go to the Ready Room. When he hits 100,000 subscribers, I get to slap him as he slapped me. So giddy up for that. Let's make that happen. But so we're going to talk about that. Since we talked about it on his channel, I figured we'd talk about it on my channel. But really, somebody just yelled growlers in the chat. That's just terrible. Really, this is for you guys to ask your questions about the tournament or about fighter pilot stuff or whatever you want. This is a live Q&A. If you want to make sure your question gets read, use the super chat. But we'll try to answer as best. Gonky's channel is not in the description. I didn't put it in the description. I put how to register for the tournament in the description. You want to go to Gonky's channel, go to the Ready Room. I'm from North Korea. That's not good. I bet North Koreans don't have internet. So anyway, hey Gonky, what do you got, man? What's new in the world of Gonky?
Well, there's a big storm bearing down on us. Flying's canceled.
Next. I know. Yeah, so let's talk about the tournament real quick. There's been some backlash, and I was dealing with that today on the Eagle Dynamics forums. There's a certain select few group of people that just cannot accept the fact that this year we're doing a little different. There's a couple things we changed. One, last year we were doing 5-mile nose-on, fights-on at the, as soon as you're off freeze. And the reason we changed that, we're actually doing a beam sets this year, is because I think that with DCS, outside of 3 to 5 miles, it kind of becomes a radar mech exercise. It's you're not seeing the guy, and now it's kind of a disadvantage for setting up the systems, trying to see him, trying to merge and all that. So what we're doing this year is we're basically 3 to 5 miles of beam, line abreast, and then once you give them 30 seconds to get everything set up, and then turn in fights on, neutral merge, no 3-9 kills, and then after that, it's off to the races, no rules, except for G limits. So first, let's talk about the 3-9 stuff, BVR merges and stuff. Someone asked me today if that's how we train, and what I was trying to explain is that we do butterfly sets or beam sets. In your experience, have you really seen, the most efficient has always been those two, right? BVR to a merge to high aspect BFM is usually not, we usually separate those two, right?
Yeah, because obviously BVR, we employ tactics to try to degrade situational awareness. So inevitably one guy arrives at the merge with like 90 degrees or more of angle. So if we're just going to do a BFM tournament, it just makes sense to keep it within visual range, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a part task trainer. We're not trying to, shoot missiles to do an intercept to bogeys and stuff. It could get really complicated. I'm trying to keep it as level and as while being realistic as possible because people are like, well, in combat, well, this is not combat. This is in combat. You're not just gonna have the gun, right? I mean, if well, you might, but realistically, you won't. And then the other part we talked about, we went in depth on your channel yesterday with the G limits, and you even did a video on why we don't use the paddle switch because I think some people think that the paddle switch is a tactic. I was trying to get GB, who is known throughout the DCS community, he's a Hornet guy, to call in and give his thoughts because he's very adamant on the fact that we don't ride around with the G limiter and override the paddle switch.
no.
So I don't know. I mean, the bottom line is, regardless, if you like the rules, if you don't like the rules, do me a favor, sign up, support Folds of Honor. That's what this boils down to, right? People have said, well, I want to win. So look, it doesn't matter. Like I have said before, suck with confidence, lose with honor. Just do what you have to do within the confines because that's life. That is, you want realism. Realism is, you're gonna have constraints. You're gonna have rules of engagement. You're gonna have so many other things. And what I am trying to impress upon people is this is the DCS community's shot at getting into kind of making esports more mainstream. And if the tournaments do well, especially one with this kind of visibility, because it could have a lot of visibility, especially with the winner getting to fight Falco. I mean, that's a big deal, right?
Yep.
If it does well, then we can do more, and then we can do better tournaments, and we can step up the prizes, and we get sponsors and actually make it, a bigger event. But if people are going to take their toys and go home at the first because they don't agree, you can't justify it.
Well, Mover, I mean, honestly, as trying to make DCS as real as possible, as a real fighter pilot, that we spend a tremendous amount of time learning the rules and limitations. Yep. I mean, that's actually what makes a good fighter pilot. It's not like, in Top Gun, we're making it up as we go. In real life, we've got our limitations. We know the enemy airplane limitations, weapons, all that stuff. So, I mean, limitations is part of being, a real fighter pilot. And if you're going to try to bring some legitimacy to DCS, and especially if you're going to go fight AI and make the argument, man versus AI, you want it to be, relatively real because they can play the same argument and be like, hey, these guys won because they're just, they're flying around with the
right
outside the envelope.
So a couple questions real quick while we'll take questions as we go. How can we support Folds of Honor if we can't participate? HTTPS, it's all in the description, but www.foh.org/fightforhonor. If you make a donation on that page, it goes towards the tournament. So basically it just shows that this community has raised X. You can just do foh.org, but the tournament won't get credit. And the tournament, it shows what this community can raise for charity. The second question was, point me to the sign up page. Go to the description. Like, it literally is just click show more in the description. It'll show you that. But you make a good point about knowing the limitations and stuff like that. And when they fight, it's so funny. One of the arguments I saw was they didn't want to do it in X-plane because they're not used to the physics and the feel of the aircraft in X-plane. And I was just...
That sounds remarkably similar to a complaint you once had.
Sounds very, very similar. But to clarify, though, X-plane is not the physics engine. It's actually a JSB sim, which is some Viper physics model or something that they all say is very realistic. X-plane 11 is just so that you can VPN in and they can control what you see and stuff like that. So Somebody asked, what is the money going to be used for? Glad you asked that. Folds of Honor is a veteran-operated nonprofit charity that supports veterans, fallen veterans or injured in combat with educational scholarships. So
for their kids.
The kids. It sends kids to school essentially if their parents, were injured or fallen in combat. So great question, great organization. Something Gonky and I, Noonan's in our squadron, so that's how we were exposed to that, and it's been something we definitely believe in. Question from Aviation 29, Gonky, what is your favorite plane?
My favorite airplane, period?
It just says favorite plane, doesn't say what is your favorite plane? Somebody said A29 Super Tucano, which is funny as that is funny. That is funny. That is funny.
Insider right there. I love the F-18 only because I spent so much time in it and learning it. It's my warhorse. But I am an aviation enthusiast as well. I also love the 747 as well on the commercial side. So.
Yeah, and so if you guys want to start a GoFundMe, Gonky would like to start a Gonky Foundation and get a Hornet from one of the countries that's getting rid of their Hornets and restore it. So let's make that happen.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Gonky's going to get his own. What is it, like $8 million for the barrel mod? I mean, it's nothing, right? We can...
I use my Boeing connections.
Yeah, we'll get a discount, the group rate discount. So let's see. Skid would like to know who's the best pilot you ever saw.
I think it was Skid.
I have to agree, Skid.
I've never seen. Right, I've never seen a happier guy.
I've never seen a guy fly in mil power more than that man. In a T-38. And I love every minute of it. So let's see, what do we have here? William Killingsworth wants a ride in the Hornet. Bullet Points wants to know, I wonder if that's Bullet Actual.
We'll find out.
So Brian asks, Skid says you guys rock, by the way. Brian asks, can you comment on your transition to flying DCS and the learning curve versus real life? Have you become comfortable in your sim abilities? That's less a question for you, but as my guest, I would like you to answer that first, since you've flown it all of 2 times.
I think if I played it for a while, I would get better at it because I didn't understand the switchology. So I have 2 good friends that have it.
Yeah.
And I flew both of their simulators, and they had them set up, for them. So it was, the learning curve was the toughest, just to do the simple things, put the wheels up, wheels down, stuff like that.
Yeah, I will say, as somebody who's got more experience, especially when they did the DCS event where we raised $9,300 for Folds of Honor with that promo code we did, I got more comfortable with it. Now, granted, I never read the manual. To much people were very disappointed in that. But in just understanding the limitations and kind of getting into the simulator mindset, I think I put some heavier springs. I got a different base for the stick there, and that helped with not the tendency, because what I've noticed is even with the VPC Warbird base, even with the heavy springs, dude, it does not match a jet. I mean, I was flying the T-38 the other day, and dude, it's like 2 hands. When you're trying to get stick in the lap, it's like 2 hands because there's just so much stick force, and you can't replicate that with a stick that is off the shelf. So it's just getting used to not ending up with the stick in your lap and just over G-ing or stalling or whatever.
Well, yeah, the real stick's like a 3-inch solid piece of steel.
Yeah, dude, you ever hear the story when one of our squadron mates who wore a Top Gun patch went out to do an FCF, and he did the wipeout before he started, and the stick came up because it wasn't bolted to the ground at our old squadron?
That's not good.
No, it's not. But the stick pressure is 0 at that point. So when you got the little nub. Let's see. Let's see. I want to edit Wikipedia to the VFA 104 USAF Navy famous people. I want to put. None of that was accurate. We were at 204. Here's Chopper 73. Given you're a Viper driver, thank you for calling it the Viper, not the Fighting Falcon. What are your thoughts on the F-16 XL and what it could have been selected and put into production used by USAF or its allies? I don't know. When people ask,
yeah, the XL competed against the Strike Eagle.
Is
like
it?
The 8.
Yeah.
So it had the big wing.
Well, then Gonky knows. Gonky knows more about this. Yeah, all right, so Angle of Attack asks, if I sign up in a Spitfire, will I be sent up against a Tomcat? Yes. There are no rules. I want to see a P-51 win it all. Some wily guy in a girl in a P-51 that just absolutely destroys people. That's what I would love to see.
Yeah. Man, if you could sign up with one of those little Red Bull Air Racer planes, no one's gonna. I mean, as long as you keep the fight at like below 1,000 feet, you're gonna kill everybody.
Yeah. Pre-med loner. Well, that sounds really sad. What stuff would you pilots want to see in a military aviation movie?
More real flying. Like, I think the digital stuff takes away from the awesomeness of it, and that's the exciting part about Maverick that's coming up.
Yeah.
Gun 2 is allegedly there's a lot of all of it is allegedly is real flying with maybe a little bit of enhancement, which is
I still get comments on that Top Gun Maverick video I did. It's real flying, but not real scenes. So what they did was they either spliced or edited or CGI'd to, like, there's that one scene where they're doing the canopy to canopy roll. 0% chance they did that. And you can actually tell, I don't know if you remember looking at it, how many times, all right, Hornets venting fuel out the tail, right?
Right.
Not that common, especially in maneuvering. For 2 Hornets to be venting simultaneously tells me that they just mirrored it. And it was 1 Hornet venting the whole time. I mean,
I've got a lot of time in the Super Hornet 2, man. I will tell you, like, there's no you have a midair if you try that.
Yeah. All right, Cyclone Freak says, hello, Gonky and Mover. How would a Raptor compare in a guns-only dogfight to a Hornet and a Viper? Also, when does the sign-up period end? Go Tomcats! So I'll answer the sign-up period first, since that's our focus today. This is like a telethon, dude. We're just trying to get people to sign up for our tournament.
I feel like I'm a stand-up, dude.
Yeah.
Shotgun and questions.
Well, it's faster paced on the Mover Media channel. You know, we go to the Ready Room. You know, it's a little bit more gentlemanly. It starts whenever we get it working, and all 30 people ask their questions. We'll get you there, Gonky. So sign-up period ends on the Friday prior to the tournament, which I believe is the 25th. You'd have to check. I think it's the 25th and then 26th, 27th. Whatever that Friday is the no kidding last time to sign up. But I'll let you answer the Raptor question versus the Hornet.
The Raptor. So the Raptor, the airplane itself has a lot of advantages over the F-16 and the F-18. But I will say this: it is always the better or luckier pilot who's going to win. I mean, Mover and Skid, because I know you're listening, can attest to this. We've got Raptor kills all over our walls out of the T-38. I mean, and granted, that's not always like in a BFM dogfighting type scenario, but it's always the better pilot or the pilot with the higher SA that's able to win. But if it's, equal pilots going up on a normal day, straight up, the Raptor most of the time is going to win because it was a specific design, air superiority, and it is really, really good at that.
Well, and I love that you said that because it's the any given Sunday approach. They always say in the NFL, which is dead to me now, but they used to say any given Sunday, right? Any team could beat any team, if you have a bad day or whatever. A lot of our kills are, obviously his question was guns only, so we don't get guns kills because we don't have a gun. It helps to have a gun.
Right.
But one of the things that you'll notice is people will bring up, like, I keep getting requests to do the Rafale versus the F-22 because there's a HUD tape of a Rafale saddled up on an F-22, and you don't know anything that happened before that or whatever. And it's like, just because you see one variation does not mean that you can't go, well, that automatically means this aircraft is better than the other, because like you talked about with your flanker video, which I recommend everybody goes to see that. On his channel, it's really awesome. I mean, it's probably one of the better YouTube videos out there. But I mean, it really is, and you finally got good at editing, so that helped a lot too. But you even talked about it, like you won then, but that wasn't, you lost sometimes, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It all depended on who was flying. And it could be drastically different. Even if F-16 versus F-16, the better pilot, it's like they're flying a completely different airplane.
Oh yeah. You're like, how did you do that? And our best Block 30 guys have gone out and beat F-22 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. You can't. The standard fighter pilot answer is it depends for a reason, because there are no absolutes anywhere. Yeah. And like, there's another thing I get, because I've got a very large, so to speak, international community, is the Pakistani versus Indian, where a MiG-21 Bison or shot down an F-16, and they're like, well, look, you shot it down. It's like, dude, you don't know the whole story behind that. You don't know what his situational awareness was. You don't know. I mean, and by the way, the MiG-21 Bison is a very upgraded aircraft. It's not just, a 1960s warbird. Anyway, Chris Martin says the female LASD, which is Los Angeles Sheriff's Department deputy, would beat the AI, no doubt. Let's sign her up. Which is a very good point. I don't know if you've seen in the news, she's the one that got shot in the face. The ambush, and then got her partner to safety, put a tourniquet around, was situationally aware of the threats and stuff. She's just a total badass. Just amazing what she did. All right, Adam asks, what is... Doug says, Gonky's content is awesome because he was flying for a military that let him get video.
True.
So anyway, I'm ADD now, because no kidding, Adam asked something and I just forgot what it was. Sorry, Adam. You're going to have to re-ask that question, because I straight up lost after I saw... Adam asked, what's a jink? Go ahead.
Like a guns jink?
Yeah, because I always say jink and everybody's like, what does that mean?
Nah, it's just a abrupt, out of plane, out of phase maneuver that we do to avoid getting shot, because as soon as the bullet leaves the barrel, if you jink, you've now destroyed that firing solution.
Brian says, thank you for your service and your support of Folds of Honor. Also, all the others that have donated, especially in this time. Thank you, Brian. That's awesome to say. Sursup, Mover and Gonky, what is your favorite aircraft to have flown or wish to fly? You kind of talked about to have flown, but what's your bucket list?
I would have liked to have flown the Tomcat.
Tomcat! You stole my answer from yesterday.
It's a true statement, man. I mean, I grew up in the '80s and I watched Top Gun, and that's all I wanted to fly. So I wish I could have gotten to fly that one. I watched
Cobra Kai, the first episode today, and
awesome.
He is inspired by Iron Eagle.
Yes.
Like, that is the plot point. He's no kidding watching Iron Eagle, and that inspires him to go start his dojo. I laughed at that. Or it drove him to drinking. I don't remember what happened. Let's see. Well, for me, answering that question, dude, man, my biggest regret still is that I did not get to fly the Raptor. Hear me out, Gonky. Hear me out. Okay, so there's a lot of pain associated with that, which I will go with. But as far as just coolness, and at the time I was in position to be kind of the youngest AFRC in a brand new airplane, that would have been cool to me, to be like a brand new lieutenant going and flying the F-22. So that's a thing. William says, what kind of things would want to take into consideration when choosing an airframe at UPT? Base location, deployment tendencies, combat roles, assuming you're active duty.
What was the first part of the question?
What sort of things should you take into consideration when you're choosing an airframe at UPT?
Oh, come on, man. If you're like a regular blue-collar active duty, you don't choose anything. You put in a dream sheet, and then they give you what they give you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get this a lot from aspiring students, and it's like they put in this, what should I do and stuff, and it's like, first of all, you have less choice than you think, like you said. But second, think about the mission. Do I want to go do more of an air-to-air role? The problem is when you're at that stage of your career, you don't know anything, and you don't know what you don't know. So it's, I would not get wrapped around the axle about it. Just my advice is whatever you get, be the best, whatever that is that you possibly can be.
I can say this with certainty with the Navy.
Yeah.
The cooler the airframe, the less desirable the location.
That's true. The
that
Air Force
is
too.
100% fact.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim, dude. That's awesome. He made a sizable contribution to the channel. That's very awesome. I appreciate that. Crail X PvP. Hey, Mover. I'm a Navy air traffic controller. Awesome, dude. I wish we had more of you where we fly, because that would help out a lot. Anyway, what's the best way to try to cop? What's the best way to try to cop an F-18 from one of the squadrons of my base?
Does that mean steal?
I was
battery
talking,
on.
I was
APU on. Go.
Yeah, we might not want to answer that one. That's
too late.
All right. Pass. Vanilla asks, do they drop F-22s and F-35 straight out of UPT? Yes. And sometimes F-22 pilots go to the T-38 first, which has been what we've been training young lieutenants. Nick asks, do either of you have a favorite commemorative camo scheme? That's common in the Navy. I think those D-Day 75th Invasion stripes are pretty cool. What do you think, Gonky?
We had an old A model in the RAG that had a gray camo scheme on it that I really liked. They also did probably everybody's seen the digital blue they did on the Super Hornet. That thing made the cover of a lot of magazines. I flew that thing a lot. And that was kind of cool too, but I don't know. I like that old gray A model we had. We
got a clarification. He's not trying to steal. He wants to ride in the back. With an actual qualified pilot up front. So this is not Iron Eagle. Continue. Now you can answer.
You got to run that shit up the chain of command, right? That's the standard answer.
You usually have to be either some kind of sailor of the quarter type, and your department head has to sign off. Like, there's a whole process to it.
Reenlistment,
maybe? Yeah. But do well in your job, and then if people get your awards, that's usually how it happens from my experience. Or be famous. Michael asks, Mover, how did you fly F-18s in the Navy without being carrier qualled? Sounds like it wasn't even on the radar for you, so to speak. So I've answered this before. Gonky, you were there for some of this. Were you there when I first was going to go to the boat? They were going to send me to 106. First off, VFA 204 was not a carrier squadron. We were shore-based adversaries, right? I mean, you would...
Technically, because we're VFA, we were a reserve unit for the active duty. But you're correct. Our primary mission was Red Air.
Yeah. So it wasn't really something we did a lot of. 106, they were going to send me to 106 to the RAG to do it because I was an Air Force guy, and that's the only really way they, felt comfortable doing it. And I came back from our Key West det and tore my MCL about 4 weeks prior. And I was out for almost 2.5, 3 months trying to recover from that. So I missed that class. And then the second opportunity was 2.5 years later. I don't think you were there for that. It was 2013. When did you show up?
Late 14.
Okay, so 2013, we were on this blue kick. we were going to go to the boat, and at that point, the squadron was going, and it was a deck cert for the TR, and with as many people as they had to get through, they said, nope, you need to go through 106. We don't want to, which was kind of, I mean, could I have done that then? I did bounce. I did do FCLPs, but I never, which was going okay. But when it came time, there just wasn't the space to do it. I even said, hey, why don't I just do day only? And they were like, no, we're only, I guess they had a limited number of slots or limited number of time LSOs and stuff, so I never got to do it. And it wasn't, they always just said, if we ever do need to be a deployable squadron, that's when you'll do it after that. So yep. It is a regret. I mean, I wish I'd actually gotten to do it, but yeah, it is what it is. So Oliver asks, can active pilots get family members incentive rides in the airframe and jets? No.
Well, if it's your last flight.
Well, it would be your last flight at that point. Yeah.
No, yeah, you can't.
Angle of Attack asks, describe how cramped is a Viper cockpit. I'll be honest, man. I have not flown the new Viper with the center display, but the old Viper I thought was relatively, I mean, because you're angled and because of the way the pedals are, I thought it was, I mean, no worse than anything else. I mean, it just fits, just kind of, I mean, did you think the Hornet was cramped?
No.
I think the T-38's more cramped than the Hornet because of the chute.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like fighters are pretty, comfortable. Then reminder, if people are just joining and showing up, sign up for Folds of Honor, Fight for Honor DCS Tournament. Gonky and I will be doing live commentary, right?
It's going to be awesome.
You up for that stuff? Have you ever experienced a cramped muscle while in flight? Yeah. When you get a cramped muscle in the Viper when you're trying to stand on the rudder pedals to pee. After you're like hour 5 of your sortie and you're trying to use the pedal pack, that's when you end up cramping somehow. Yeah.
You gotta drink more water, Boomer.
Yeah. Chris asks, would you fly the A-10 if given the offer? Mover asks, is that an offer?
And is it 2 for 1?
And Gonky also asks, is that an offer? Because yes. And Tim Robinson says, if you suck in DCS, just make a donation to Folds of Honor. Yes. And use that link, foh.org/fight-for-honor. However, even if you suck, if you own DCS, sign up for this tournament because it will just be fun. Yeah. Just take your ego and just have fun. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. With the FTU moving to JBLE, what is the chance of you coming up to join the 192nd WG? There's a lot of stuff in that message I don't understand. Joint? Is that Langley? Joint Base Langley?
Maybe. Maybe.
Okay, I think they're asking what are the chances of going up to Langley, and the answer is not very great.
No.
Yeah. Can a fighter cockpit handle a 6'6"? What's the tallest dude you've ever seen?
I think I've seen some really tall fighter pilots.
6'4" is yeah.
How tall is, dude? We got a guy in our squadron, Strike Eagle, dude. He's really tall. He might be. I don't know if he's 6'6". There's some really tall fighter pilots.
Yeah.
And some really short.
Oh, I know. The worst thing is getting in the jet after a short person, especially in the Viper, because we close the canopy on engine start. So, but the seat won't run without the generator online.
Yeah.
So you're closing the canopy, and it's like, son of a damn it, this guy. Which is a segue, by the way. What do you think about the F-15EX?
I think it's going to be awesome, man. I mean, we make fun of the Eagle, but I think it's an epic interceptor and high altitude BVR, and it's with the new AISA stuff and the big engines, it's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be awesome. Especially with joint helmet and stuff. It won't really need thrust vectoring as long as it has like a whole plethora of 9Xs. I mean, it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, what does it carry, like 12, 14 missiles, something stupid? It's like crazy.
Yeah.
So yes, the 192nd that's all Langley. So they're asking if we're going to go to Langley, and the answer is we don't know our future right now.
No.
That is what we can definitively say, is we don't know. We don't know. Does the Viper have an ESA? It's getting it. It's got a little baby ESA. They're developing one for it. I think some units have it already. Let's see. What else we got? Keith says he's gonna sign up for the tournament and still donating to Folds of Honor either way. Dude.
Nice.
Thank you. Emerson asks, F-15 are pretty close to F-22.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
in size? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about, right, dude, the F-15 came online in 1972. I mean, it's a good airplane, but dude.
Yeah, and the newer ones, they've got ESAs and stuff. I mean, they can really do some good stuff. Mover, do you have any tips for OTS? How do you get good sleep and manage time during OTS? Here's how you get good sleep. You're going to be so tired by the time your head hits the pillow. You will sleep there. You will sleep in places that you didn't think you were going to sleep. And time management's just something you're going to learn, what do you got? OCS, man. I mean, I think it's kind of a non-event, personally.
Yeah, I fell asleep standing up. I ended up on my phone. But I mean, like you said, man, you sleep when you can.
Yeah.
You do everything when you can.
Yeah, you learn the ways. The wannabe launch patter. Opinions on the S3B Viking and the EA6B Prowler. That's you, man. You know more about this than I do.
Well, the Viking, so we had both in my air wing, and the S3 was a phenomenal tanker. And it was a phenomenal, like a recce type airplane. We're whatever out in the Gulf and there's a Dow out there they want to look at. If they sent me, it's like zing. You're like, whoa, wait a minute, let me go back, zing. The S3 could hang out slow speeds a long time. And like I said, as a tanker, they had a lot of gas to give. The Prowler, the Prowler guys had their own like super secret space right next to the reactor, I think, of the ship. So those guys didn't talk much, but I enjoyed hanging out with them. They're kind of weird, but the Prowler was very effective at what it did. I mean, when they turned the Trons on, it could get.
Stoner was a Prowler guy. He's cool.
He is cool. Yeah, he is. He's now a Hornet guy, but
yeah,
and I even did BFM against the Prowler, which is in their syllabus. And what
oh, that's right.
me,
we did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever fight the Prowler?
Yeah, they used to come down to New Orleans.
The Prowler, not the Growler.
The Prowler, and then the Growler. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that is impressive about the Prowler is actually that thing is fast. Like once it gets going.
Yeah.
I mean, you can in mil power, which is all it has. I mean, it can be close to the number like all day. So.
Yeah. Angle of Attack says, rumor says Viper guys turn on SEC on the ground to close the nozzle when they see a C model behind. Mover, can you confirm? So SEC, and SEC, primary, secondary, it closes the nozzle. It's a kind of a backup mode. So when you pass an F-15, you close the nozzle due to the, I don't know if I can say this on this channel. Yes, the answer is yes. Yes. I'll just go with yes. Can I join the tournament using Flaming Cliffs 3 aircraft or only full fidelity? You can join with any aircraft that is legitimate that you can buy. Ranger Buddy asks, are there going to be any more tournaments in the future?
Hope so.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying at the beginning. As long as things go well, and demonstrate the need and the interest, then that promotes more interest for people to support it, sponsorships and stuff like that. You got to crawl, walk, and run. Elias Make them tell you no group pushed me to submit a Navy package board's birthday on the 18th. Fingers crossed. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you.
Awesome.
That's badass.
And if they reject it, apply again.
And apply to the Guard, and apply to the reserves, and apply to, just to keep applying. Apply to everything. Let's see. What means VFA?
Well, V, I know it's weird, but V is Navy speak for fixed wing. F is fighter. A is attack. So fixed wing fighter attack. That's why Tomcats were VF.
Tomcats.
Fighter. So there you go.
Can I watch the tournament without playing DCS? Yes, it'll be live streamed. Not the first weekend, but the second 2 days. The second weekend, 2 days will be live streamed on my Twitch, on YouTube, and on DCS World Events. Brian, this is for Gonky. Aw. The first time I trapped on a carrier in virtual reality, it was pretty intense. Can you describe your first time as an actual aviator?
The first time you do it, you're not an actual aviator. You're a student. So you are lower than life. The first time in the T-45 was, I imagine that's probably what you want to know, is my first trap ever. In the T-45, I actually still have the marks on the front of my helmet. So when I trapped, the harness didn't lock. So I went flying forward and flew the A model, and it had a up-front control, and my head hit my head got wedged in the up-front control, and on the throttle we had the mic switch, right? And of course you're all amped up, 20-something. I felt like I just cheated death, and it is a violent way to stop.
Yeah.
And as close as I've ever been to an airplane crash. But anyway, so as I'm doing my little 150-foot, whatever it is, run out, I key the mic, and like a big Sally, I let out a couple expletives. And when I taxied out of the LA, all my buddies, landing area, all my buddies who were parked by the island, they are all, we're all in our canopies. You're in an airplane, you can't hear, but they're all like, oh, looking at me. And I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. And then here to find out, I broadcasted on tower. my screams of terror, and even the rest. My buddy was a helo pilot. He was in the SAR helo that day. He heard it. He sent me a nice email. The LSOs, of course, as soon as I walked downstairs to get my grades, I mean, they were just rolling. So that was my first.
Did you get a call sign out of that?
No, dude, there was enough buffoonery going on amongst all of us students that I mean, it was, yeah, that was my first trap. And actually, I did one trap and shut down because the weather was sketchy, and that was on the Lincoln, and I did one trap, shut down, and we steamed around for a week, and I had to come back out like 2 months later and do the real carrier qual. I didn't even qual the first time. I got my one trap in, and yeah, it was scary.
Wow. Maxim Fick says reflections on high school.
I don't know. I had a good time in high school. I didn't care about being a pilot or nothing. I just wanted to have a good time.
I was all about fast cars.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'm lucky to be alive.
Cars and motorcycles.
Yeah, how I survived.
Right.
Once I started driving to when I finally started flying is a mystery to me.
Yeah, there are definitely. I'm not saying high school kids should be like this. And what's amazing to me in the fighter pilot world is you find like the super smart, geeky engineer dude who never did anything exciting, and then you'll find like redneck hillbilly people that like I'm surprised you can spell. I mean, I think that having a good time in high school is important because I wouldn't have been able to apply myself in college and then later in flight, so I'd have been burnt out.
Just don't do anything stupid with drugs or alcohol. I mean, that's really the biggest thing.
Don't get arrested.
Don't get arrested. Don't drink and drive. Like, don't do anything dangerously that's irreversible. I mean, have a good time, but don't be irreversible. The wannabe launch padder. Mover, do you ever plan on becoming a Civil Air Patrol member? I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I don't have any plans to. I don't have time. it's a commitment, and I'm doing reserve deputy stuff. I'm doing books, this reserve airlines. You kind of at some point, would you ever do Civil Air Patrol?
Never, dude. You know me. I got a couple businesses, a couple jobs, a kid, a wife, and a motorcycle hobby. I'm maxed. I would like. I think it's awesome. I'd like to do it, though.
Yeah, I believe in what it's doing. I just don't. Jin Zhang, are you allowed to initiate a lead turn for the tournament? Can you do pre-merge maneuvering to maintain horizontal or vertical separation for turning room? I don't think that. I would have to look at the rules. I don't think that we did, although the intent is to be a neutral merge. So there's no real way for us to police that, but I would prefer if people merge neutral. That's what I'll say. I mean, what do you think, Gonky?
Right. So basically, you're 180 out. When 3-9 line passage happens, that is fights on.
Yeah.
So you both work to achieve that, and then once that 3-9 line passage has happened, then it's
full up.
Yeah.
This is also for you, Gonky. Do you think real life pilots are more likely to win the tournament?
Not this real life pilot. I think I don't know anybody who's a fighter pilot who also plays DCS competitively. My buddy Rodrigo, who I use his setup, he was a Navy helicopter pilot, and he's pretty good at it. But I don't know any real fighter pilots that use it.
Yeah, I know a couple that do, and they're not good. None.
There's probably negative transfer.
Yeah, none that I know are really that good at it. So, Dunes wants to know, what are your businesses? It's great to hear that you're an entrepreneur.
Well, my main thing is I buy and sell land. I'm getting into a little bit of mobile home parks. I got one of those closing soon, and then a little bit of I do some consulting as well. So then I let mover cry on my shoulder sometimes. It's not a business of mine.
That's it. He's quite the counselor. Let's see. You guys prefer simulator with VR or full operational button cockpit sim? Button cockpit sim, for sure. I don't like wearing the thing on my noggin. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I want to touch buttons. I don't want to be fishing for keys and all that stuff. I will say that the graphics are better with the VR, but
yeah,
I mean, there's a reason that real sims are flip switches and you
yeah,
be able to touch. Oh, Brian again. This one is for you, Mover. That's me. As a police officer, if you want or can talk about, what was the scariest moment? God.
Short coot?
What's that? No, I mean, I don't know. There have been times we've gone to calls that were, somebody's about to be severely hurt or hurt somebody, and running code to that is always scary because you don't know what it is when you get there. I have been fortunate in that I haven't had anything, life and death yet. I mean, I'd like to keep it that way, but, for me, it's been the sense of alertness and the sense of I don't know what I'm going to when a call comes out and it gets toned out and you're running code and you don't know what you're going to get. Domestic violence calls have been the scariest because it's like dynamite. I mean, it's at any moment it could pop off and be something way worse than what you expected. So yeah. Let's talk about airplanes. Any tips for someone who has asthma?
Yeah, all right. Well, I had asthma as a child. I'm going to say a pretty old child. That's all I'm going to say because I'm still flying. But Asthma is one of those things where, so when I applied to the Air Force, and the Guard, they flat out said no. Applied to the Navy, they said maybe. So that was pretty much the only game in town for me. With asthma, with the Navy, I know that there is a specific age to where you cannot have had symptoms. Now, this is 18, 19 years ago, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm old. So I cannot remember what that age is. But I got asked.
If you go to www.makethemtellyouno.com, which is the website I did for the military pilot FAQ, it's in there. I've got that in there.
It is okay. Yeah,
I know it's in there.
Definitely have that answer in your head. I don't know. I know guys that have had asthma and lied about it and got away with it. But if you have asthma, if you have any kind of real asthma, I mean, they're going to find out during OCS because you do enough running and facing the sand stuff. So I don't know. I didn't want to lie about it, so I didn't. So I went through the whole waiver process, and I actually got it while I was in OCS.
Yeah.
At the very, very last minute. And that was the question that got me my waiver. Was they asked me what age did I stop having symptoms, and I told them, I said, listen, it's not like I woke up one day and I was cured. And they said, Doc's like, well, give me a number. I gave him 2 numbers, and he said, which one? And I picked the
the correct one.
The correct one, the younger one.
The one you didn't know?
Yeah, and like literally 3 seconds after that, he's like, well, that's the limit. He's like, if you had answered the other one, we couldn't give you the waiver. So like dodged a bullet there. They'll give you the oxygen test where you'll blow into this device that measures. And I'm still in pretty good shape, but back then, as in my 20s, I was in really good shape. So whatever the case is, if you're going for a spot, make sure that you're exercising a lot, you're eating right, and you're like the best that you can be physically, because I mean, they're going to take all this into consideration. Yeah. And then you don't want to obviously get a slot, go to OCS, and in the 2 miles into the 3 mile run, have an asthma attack.
Yeah.
Right, and keep out.
Frowned upon. Yeah.
Right. So.
Angle of attack asks, which part of the muscle contributes the most when doing the G straining? I would say your quads and your glutes, probably. Huh? I mean, that's the biggest leg muscle group. I mean, it's your core, right? Abs, legs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would agree.
Yeah. Can you record your flights with a GoPro?
It depends. Next.
Have you been sprayed with OC and tased? Yes.
No.
Yes. Sucked. Kevin asked, oh, we lost Kevin. Mover, thanks for your Spectre series. Thanks to both for your service. Nice to be in the world with you guys. Thanks, Kevin. That's nice. In November 7, Romeo Mike Keela. Probably been asked and answered a million times, but I'm wondering, if you had to pick one fighter to fly again, would it be the F-16 or F-18, and why? F-16. So to me, the F-18 felt like a jet. It felt like I was going out and flying a jet. A stick that moved, you're flying an airplane. The F-16 felt like an Iron Man suit. It felt like you fit in the jet, and it's just like everything was at your fingertips. Because you remember the Hornet, there was a lot of button pressing and reaching up and doing the DDI and stuff. And the Viper, it's set up. You're just sitting there, and you're working your magic. You
didn't have as many DDIs though, did you?
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't. They do now, because now they have the center display. But I had 2 MFDs, and honestly, that center one in the Hornet wasn't all that. I mean, it's the same amount of tactical displays as the Hornet. So, hey, Mover, you still upgrading the 7576? Nope, they grounded it. It's done. Never doing that. What will it take to hear the Gonky call sign story? What kind of donation are we talking about? That is Gonky's channel. We will not do that on this channel. Actually, I don't think you can do it on your channel either, can you?
And YouTube, all of a sudden the screen will go blank.
Have either of you written anything on ordnance? Like what?
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that question. Oh, this is a good one. I found in VR that neck muscle is very important. Does that also apply for real pilots? Times about 10.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine 10 Gs with a joint helmet on. Probably break your neck.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, by the way, T-Bear, I asked him, I was trying to get him to call in on this, but he said that if T-Bear's words, if anybody disagrees, they're idiots.
Say it right,
That
Mover.
that
Say it right.
that is literally what he said. If they don't, somebody just said put the Gonky name on Pornhub. Now I'm curious. C4 Corvette in ditch plus high schooler IROC plus fighter pilots equals great stories. That's from Brian. I actually put a C5 in a ditch, not a C4. Let's get that right. It was a C5 Z06 that I put in the ditch. What's your scariest T-38 story in the pattern? That was a previous one.
What was my scariest T-38 story?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think when I was first learning how to fly it, I was going up for my my pre-check for my check ride, which I did not pass for the reason I'm about to tell you. But I had an A10 lady instructor in the back, and you do
instructor in the back.
Whatever. You do stalls, right, with the gear and the flat landing configuration stalls. Well, you know.
Oh no, Gonky, your potato internet froze. You gotta wait, go back. Your potato, you froze back for a second.
I know. All right, dude. So I'm doing landing configuration stalls. One wing drops. I give it a boot of rudder, and the thing just flips on its back.
Oh, that because that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I was, because the rudder authority is significantly more effective with the gear down, which I learned that day.
That is true.
And
That's part of the academics.
She screamed, or we both screamed. I don't know. And I ended up having to do that ride again. So I don't touch the rudder pedals when the wheels are down in the T-38 now. So
I told you this isn't a scariest story, but my first T-38 flight after flying helicopters. So I did my first 15 hours in the helicopter, and then I went to the T-38. Dude, as soon as I lit the blower, I caught myself going full boot of left rudder, because that is the as you're raising collective, and I was just like, oh my god. Speaking of lady pilots, this is a cool story. This is not a question. I just want to tell you this story. So when I was a kid, I did this thing called the Texas Air Aces. It's like Air Combat USA, where you go out and you dogfight or whatever. I did it twice, and the first time I got completely sick, and I think on the 500,000 subscriber video, if we ever get that high, I'm gonna do a Mover Ruins that. I'm gonna show that video of me getting sick as a 13-year-old kid in a T-34. I think it'll be awesome. But the second time I did it, I flew with a fighter pilot, a female, who was an F-16 pilot. And it was awesome. She was talking about I should go be a fighter pilot, go to the academy and stuff. That was probably one of the single most influential flights of my life, because, awesome. Here I am. Today, a guy sent me an email, and he's like, hey, for your tournament, you should consider going to one of these things, these Air Combat USA type schools, and, flying or doing a vlog and stuff like that. So I clicked on the link. And at a school in Phoenix, she's an instructor. She is still doing that. Yeah. And I recognize her. I'm like, holy crap. I never even thought of that name again until today. I thought it was awesome.
Think you get sick again?
I probably would. That would be awesome, though, right? Get sick?
Yeah.
We got Manchestered for something. I don't know what it was, though.
Uh-oh.
Did we just say I was going to do something? I don't know.
You said on the 500,000.
Oh yeah, dude. That's for sure. I can do that. I just have to figure out how to make it from VHS to. Anyway, well, let's take a couple more questions, because I know Gonky's got places to be. Have you ever thought of applying for the Thunderbirds, Blue Angels, or Air Force One? Boy, that's a wide range of things. You need a job soon, so what are we thinking? Any of those?
No, I mean, when I was a RAG IP, that was my opportunity, and I didn't have any desire to do it. It's a tremendous commitment, and you're gone a lot. It's hard on the family. It's just something I didn't want to do at the time, so it wasn't for me. As far as flying Air Force One, and any kind of specialty, any sort of high profile kind of flying in the military is going to be a big sacrifice for family. So I just couldn't do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I've never. I mean, I've never been active duty, like regular active duty, so I never really considered it, and I didn't really, I mean, I don't know. It's never. I would love to be or have been a demo pilot, like the F-16 demo team, or to me that would be fun. But I don't think. I mean, especially at this point in our career, I don't see us ever getting. I mean, they want captains and young majors. Do you think the DCS could be used as a part task trainer for the F-18 if you had replica controls and good hardware?
Well, I mean, Mover and I, we've seen the real sim,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's what it does.
The real sim is a part task trainer. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what it does.
I mean, there's a reason we say it's a simism, or the sim does this, but the jet does this. I mean, nothing 100%, but yeah, I think part task trainer to get you familiar. Like, to me, DCS is the replacement for that cockpit poster you put on your wall. Like, if you want to know where stuff is and all that. Somebody asked about if I'd tried Flight Sim 2020, which I have. And I think it's the same thing. It's got real pretty graphics and stuff, but I wouldn't like use it to learn how to fly. I would use it to familiarize myself with the basic procedures. You have not. Neither of us have flown the Kafir. I can answer that. Would you join an A-10 squadron? Sure. Angle of Attack says, I super chatted too much. They locked my card. Anyway, Mover, what is the hardest fight you had in a Viper? How did you get through it? If you're talking dogfight, it was an Eagle, believe it or not. And in the Viper, it was hard. In the Hornet, it was easy fighting an Eagle. And it was because he did this bathtub thing where you go up and or over, and we were just, two clean jets. And I was a lieutenant. He was a super experienced guy. And I just could not figure out how we just were neutral, and no matter what I did, we were neutral every single time. And I could not figure out how to get out of that until we just bingoed out and knocked it off and went home. I mean, what was your most difficult in the Hornet?
Well, there's a whole smattering of times I lost. Those were all difficult. I think the one that stands out the most in my mind is probably the first time when I was a student, we did dissimilar. We did one flight. Some guys got to fight something else other than a Hornet.
Yeah.
So I was lucky. I got to fight the Fresno Air National Guard. At the time, they were flying F-16s.
Yeah.
Those guys, because I was a lowly rag student, they brought out 2 F-16s. So the first guy I fought was an ex-Navy Top Gun guy, and that's the it stands out in my mind of like, man, I am so glad we're on the same team because like he like viciously kicked me. It was
no mercy,
dude. We hit the merge and like literally I think I just cranked my head around and looked between the tails, and I mean he was like in my chili. I could not. There's nothing I could do. I should have just went straight.
Run!
Yeah. So that's the first time I ever fly anything different in the Hornet, and I was still a student. I only had like probably 30 hours in the airplane, but that stands out in my mind. I just remember like, wow, that was savage.
Tiffany says, how come pilots don't return salutes to enlisted? We do.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know what
that's the whole point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely, 100%. So somebody asked about your coolest flying story. What do you think, man? What's your coolest? Obviously, it involves me somehow, but go on.
That's a tough one, man. I've got so many cool flying stories. I think probably just I don't know. That's a tough one, man. The coolest thing I think I ever did was I got to fly an F-18 home. That was cool. And when I say home, I'm talking to like Akron, Canton, Ohio. Tiny little airport, 40 minutes from my parents. And I think that's the first time they ever saw me fly a military jet. And so, of course, my parents and my cousin and all the little kids came out. And it was like the circus was in town, everybody in the FBO came out. So that was probably the coolest thing. And then, of course, it broke, and I got to spend some extra time there. So
I would say 100% yes. My all of everything I can think of for my coolest experiences in both the Hornet and the F-16 involve my dad.
Yeah.
Whether it was the first time I did a NASCAR flyby and he's in the stands and got to watch me, or he got to watch me on national TV do a flyby, or I got to go cross country to an air show and you do the low approach to the closed and you're in blower, right by him, and he lands and he's walking up to the jet and he's so proud and
Yeah.
stuff, or flying a Hornet, to a cross country where he could see me. To me, those are my coolest, like, this is awesome moments. Tactically, they all kind of run together. I think there was one flight I had with Special. And he and I, to this day, we still think it was our coolest mission because we were fighting with the Lang, so the Air Guard, and it was a LFE type deal. So he and I were strikers. The Eagles were escorting us. We shot Ritter in the face, bombed the target, and then we knocked it off. We fought a set of BFM together because they were bingoed out and went home. Then we went to the North Shore, flew over the North Shore, and then 500 feet down the causeway, did the city tour and landed. And we're like, that is awesome. Like we filled all the squares. How can can you ask Gonky if you get to choose to fly home? If no, can you ask him how he got to fly home?
That's a really good question because it's not like, it's not like just buying a tank of gas and going. So the answer is it kind of depends. So I volunteered to return an airplane that a retiring Navy captain was flying back home. So they did a one-time special flight for him. And then they flew me on the airliner out to pick it up and bring it back. So part of the deal was on the way back, I just so happened to pass Ohio. So I landed there. So that's how it works. Generally speaking, cross-country windows will open up, but a lot of times they want some sort of additional training or event of some sort attached to it.
Yeah, all of mine were like air shows or, hours, trying to get hours at the end of the year because the Navy had the hours. Cyclone wants to know, users compete in DCS Tournament for Steam? Yes. It would not be different when signing up. Multiplayer is multiplayer, so just use your Eagle Dynamics call sign. Have you ever had a student who was so unpredictable because they were inexperienced that it made it harder in a fight?
By the time they got to the Hornet rag, the students were generally pretty good. I don't ever remember having anybody like that, but occasionally you would get students that would kind of freeze up.
Oh no, these aren't freeze up. He's saying that it was harder to fight them because they were so unpredictable. And I think students are typically the ones that will try to do the most scripted thing or nothing. They're not going to go invent new stuff.
Yeah. Usually students are pretty reserved, and if they do something that you perceive is like that, it's because they probably don't see you and they've lost situational awareness.
Yeah.
That's happened to me a couple times. Specifically when we would, in the Hornet, at least when we would do what we call 2 versus 1.
Yeah.
Because now there's like 3 airplanes dynamically maneuvering, so it's real easy to lose situational awareness. That's probably where I've seen the most erratic flying, but not because they're trying to be erratic.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, dude, it completely makes sense. Fierce Pixels is asking a question that we are the worst 2 people on the planet to answer, but we're going to answer it anyway. I still have time to decide what I want to do in my career, but would you advise I attempt to be a fighter pilot or military aviation in general, or an airline pilot?
Oh my God, dude.
Technically, we're both airline pilots, so...
You first.
No, you're the guest.
All right. I think you get one shot at flying operating I think the coolest machines made by man, the most powerful machines made by man. Like, it's as close as I'm ever going to get to, being a Iron Man, if you will. So why not? And it will. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It'll make you a better pilot, And I mean, the training and stuff you get, it's just, you can't pay for that. I mean, I went to the University of North Dakota and did their aviation program. It was good, but I mean, it's like 10%, maybe 10% of the training I got in the military. You can't, you really can't describe it. You have to go through it. I strongly recommend anybody who can go to the military if it's something you want to do.
I would say you could give me the #1 seniority number at any airline at any time, and I still wouldn't trade it for flying fighters.
Yep, 100%.
Even right now. I mean,
100%. There's something to be said when you're like 20 years old and you got this crazy thing strapped to your back, and like, I mean, you literally, I still can't believe. I'm like, man.
You can always fly the airlines after.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to do it the other way around.
Yeah, you can't do
it's a different, you know, people get confused because they're like, well, you don't have a whole lot of hours, and it's like, dude, if I fly a 1.0 in a fighter, 100% of that 1.0 is aviating, navigating, communicating, dealing with, you know, between 3 and 16 other aircraft at a given time, ATC, weapon systems, you know, threats.
There's nothing wrong with
No.
There's nothing wrong with being listen, I mean, airline pilots who've never been in the military, they're dedicated professionals as well.
Absolutely.
Boomer and I are talking about just personal,
yeah,
just personal experience, like just as somebody to take something to the grave. You know, I'm so glad, you know, like I can sleep at night knowing that I'm so fortunate that I was able to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I graduate college in a flight program in 2.5 years. Should I start contacting guard units now? 2 years is about where you'd want to. I mean, you start rushing the units. I definitely, you know, start getting your foot in the door, because you know, you just never know. It's all about. I mean, I started contacting them when I was a junior, and that's how I got my slot. You know, they gave me a job. Let's see, a couple more here.
I don't think it's ever too early to get started. I mean, there's always something you can be working on, right?
Yeah. Well, that's specific. He's talking specifically contacting units, and you know,
okay.
At some point they're just going to go, well, kid, you know, call me back. But it never hurts to get your name out there, so there's name recognition, and you know, you get your foot in the door. Show enthusiasm, show initiative. Connor really wants to know if you have a favorite bomber, and he gives you 2 options. It's the B-52 or the Tu-95.
Well, I've intercepted a Tu-95.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it a big beast?
Yeah. I mean, it's a prop. I mean, it's turboprop. I don't know. I'm going to buy American. We're going to B-52.
I'd take a B-1.
That's not part of the choices, dude. You can... Given the choice, yes, I would take a B1.
Dude, Deuce got to go ride in a B1. He was telling me about it. He's like, yeah, it's about as close as you can get to a fighter, you know, and still be a bomber pilot.
Yeah, I think it's a cool-looking airplane.
Sounds awesome. I mean, you got to respect an aircraft that has ejection seats, but the ejection seats are down for some of the guys. You know, you throw them out the bottom to get them out. So, all right, this sounds wrong, but let me read it anyway. Gaming with Ty. I've heard that pilots that don't get pilot slots often get 2 years into bombers and then dislike their job. I want to go fly fighters, but I want a job that I love. No. You are a pilot if you're flying bombers. So, no. If you got a pilot slot, a bomber, no. That's not how the process works. Go to makeemtellyouno.com. You can read about the process. I do you become a contract flyer for Red Air. I do you become a.
Well,
is it how? How do you become a contract flyer, or will? What do you think?
Well, if it's how you become a contract Red Air flyer, you have to have. A lot of those guys want a certain amount of experience in a radar-equipped fighter, so you have to have that. So you have to have prior military flying experience. And would I like to do it? Sure.
So if anyone's hiring. 2 for 1.
pretty much.
Yeah. What did you do outside of flying? Were you squadron commanders? How much of your time? So, what was your ground job in the Navy?
Oh, dude, ground jobs,
Yeah.
plural.
I mean, it just depends on what level of your career, right? You're.
When I walked through the door, they gave me coffee mess, which is snacko in the Air Force, public affairs.
And
I
look at you
ran.
now. See how it's
I,
helped you?
they had the CFC campaign, which was what is that every year? They do a bunch of charity stuff.
Oh yeah, the thing where we donate. Yeah.
Yeah,
Combined federal campaign.
yeah, that's it. I was in charge of setting up the Thanksgiving party, and I was the schedules officer. And then also they threw me right into the wingman program, so my plate was full.
Kimberly wants to know, hi mover, I'm Tyler, I'm 8. Oh, that's awesome. An 8-year-old's watching this, dude. That is amazing. Thanks
That's
for
awesome.
watching. I want to be in the Air National Guard and fly F-22s. Very specific. I like it. And what is your favorite moment as an airline pilot? And thank you for your service. I actually have one. Believe it or not, my favorite moment was flying. I forget what it's called. It's a visual approach into LaGuardia at sunset. It is the most beautiful thing you will ever do because it's the city of New York at sunset. You fly, you basically do a U-turn around the city and land at LaGuardia. That was my favorite moment so far. You don't have one, do you?
Oh yeah, no, I do actually. My favorite moment flying an airliner was I think the first time I took off my first flight, actual real flight in the Airbus.
Yeah.
Because being in a fighter cockpit, everything is like around you, and it was like being in a little office. There was so much space. I don't know, just something weird about being in a very large room. And flying, the view was incredible, like you said, man. Big windows and stuff. So my very first flight was probably my coolest.
Okay. So I'm in high school with average grades, can't afford to go to college. What's the easiest way to become a fighter pilot? ROTC. Get a ROTC scholarship. I mean, right? If
That, or I had a good buddy who he had a lawn care business, put himself through college, and then went to OCS. You could probably get some scholarships, stuff like that. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way.
I'm striving to become a fighter pilot. I'm not sure what branch I should strive for, Air Force or Navy. In other words, F-35 or F-22. Don't chase airplanes. Don't chase airplanes. Don't chase airplanes.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Apply to them. Oh, not that I would ever take that advice, but apply to everywhere and go and do great things at the one that takes you.
Yeah, people don't realize that. Like, I have a lot of friends who flew Helos first. I have friends who, like Wombat, flew E2s first. I have NFO friends. I had friends that were, Wizzos, not Wizzos, they call them. What they sat in the back of the Hawkeye, back in the P3. So,
oh yeah, I don't remember what they call those.
It's always the first step is become an officer. That gets you in the door, and then the next step is just get your wings. Once you get your wings, I mean, from there, I mean, you can claw your way to where you want to go, with a little bit of work and luck. So,
yeah, and I go back to something that T-Bear said on this channel a while back. Step 1, desire to serve your country.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to, I mean, because what happens when, you get medically disqualified or, needs budgets and needs of the military and stuff. It has to be a desire to serve your country. And then, because let's be honest, if you don't care about, the US of A or whatever country you live in, then all you really need to do is strive to be super wealthy and go buy your own jet. And then, I mean, that should be, you have to have that service first and then worry about everything else.
Yep.
Doug says, if you can't afford college, message me. I have tips. I hope he's not selling drugs in my comment section. Douglas, if you can't afford college, I have a way. This is how Breaking Bad started. He's probably, and Doug kind of looks like Walter. So, and he has an RV. So,
Nice.
GDG says you should be sponsored by the Navy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough people.
You can answer this, Gonky, from Michael. There's a big difference between Boeing and Airbus design, especially with the flight control fly-by-wire. Are fighters much more similar to the Airbus philosophy? Are there states of law like in the bus? Since you did the Hornet and the bus.
All right, I caught the first half of that question.
So Boeing and Airbus design are very different.
Yeah.
But are fighters much more similar to the Airbus philosophy? Are there states of law like in the bus?
I'm going to say, yeah, they more replicate the way the Airbus philosophy, which is totally fly-by-wire, like no mechanical link between. You are commanding a performance. That's how the Airbus is. That's how the F-18 is. I think that's how the Raptor is.
Yeah, you're voting on what you would like to happen.
Yep.
Versus putting a control input in.
Yeah. So I mean, you might shove the stick to the left, and in a conventional airplane, that means the ailerons move, but it might move like one rudder and some weird combination to get it to do that.
Well, you watch the bit, the Flickus bit or the FCS bit, and you watch it just.
Yeah.
All the controls, it does the funky chicken. Brian says, your make them tell you no is such great advice. I had that. If I may, I would like to make an addition. Do not pass up unfortunates because you think you have all the time in the world. Yeah, so, that's the whole embrace the suck. Take what. Does the stigmatization of pilot stewardess relationships on layovers hurt pilot retention? I don't think anybody ever can. I think that they just end up with more ex-wives. I don't see how that does anything. Are you still a reserve deputy? Yes. In fact, I think we're doing hurricane stuff tomorrow night. That'll be a lot of fun. Gonky, what's your favorite ICBM? I can't even name one.
The ones we have?
Yeah. Is prior service a disqualification for OCS? No. They're called O1Es.
Yeah, in the Navy, you would get special treatment at OCS if you're prior service.
Are you guys planning a documentary like Aviation Week VHS documentaries we had in the past? I think they're really interested in being done from someone inside the Navy would be even more.
Yeah, I miss those too.
Yeah, I used to weekday wings, man.
Yeah.
What type of math do you have to be good at as a fighter pilot? Arithmetic?
I'm terrible at math.
Basic addition?
Yeah. Whatever's required to get a college degree.
Yeah. Let's see. Now we're starting to get into redundant questions, so I think it's about time to shut her down. So what else? Let's take. What do you think? Two more.
Dude, I don't care. Whatever. I'm here for the cause.
Somebody wants to know if there's an inside joke on the A29. Yes.
Next.
Yeah. Do you think a DCS is a good training tool for helicopters? I actually do. It has helped me. I really do. I think, you miss a lot of the feel, but just the muscle memory of doing stuff, I do. How is it flying the OH-58? I'm working on part 2 of that video. I really enjoyed it. I can't hover or land it worth a crap, but they're really, really awesome. So, all right, give me a couple more. Here you go. Is there a basic fighter mentality that every fighter pilot has?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Robin Olds probably did the best packaging of the
confident,
mentality.
A little bit of cockiness.
Yeah, he said it really well. I'm not going to butcher it, but look it up. Robin Olds about what it means to be a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
He was, he's pretty much the fighter pilot. So
I, I I think this might be another job offer. Either
Send
of you
it.
have any interest in flying with the Hurricane Hunters?
Uh, potentially.
What is your take on flying as a loadmaster and transferring to a pilot later on? I think that is a great.
Yeah.
You're not transferring to a pilot. You would apply to OCS, but I think it would give you a better resume and could pay for college and give you some life experience. So I mean, there's been plenty of
Yep.
loadmasters. Here's one from Zachary. What's the latest on getting your own plane mover? I thought I'd found the right airplane, but what I've learned is companies will not finance or insure turboprop experimentals. And that's all I'll say on that. So that put a damper on that one. So the search continues. Gonky does not fly helos. Has Gonky played volleyball with Tom Cruise? Now we're in shotgun questions. Have you played volleyball with Tom Cruise?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
And
Favorite?
I got
You got
Sorry.
what? No, go ahead. No, you.
10% I got 10% disability in both knees. I can't play volleyball.
What's your favorite speed to go at?
Flying speed?
Ludicrous, I think.
Ludicrous speed, yeah.
Can Gonky comment on each of his stuff on his I Love Me wall? That's something for Gonky's channel, I believe. I think that would be something cool for your channel one day. Just take the
Sure.
camera and just walk around.
There's a couple helmets up there.
Paul wants to know what's the fastest you've ever flown?
1.55.
Oh, weak. 1.86.
What were you in?
Viper.
What altitude?
I did it wrong too because I went up to 50-something thousand feet and thought I would have to do this descending profile, but I ended up too nose low. So I hit the 800 knot limit before, because it's 800 or 2.02 or 5 or whatever it is. But I hit the 800 knot limit at 1.86. So apparently you need to be supersonic. You need to get up into the 40s, go supersonic, and then turn, and then that's how you do it.
What's the fastest you ever got it to do straight and level? Like not doing the dive or anything. Dude, because I did 1.55 in a 204 jet at 29,000 feet with centerline tank.
I've done 1.6 in a 204 jet, like right at the limit. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there aren't two O's in mover. So thanks, Gonky, for starting that one. What does DCS miss to be the perfect simulator?
An airplane.
Real life. You just can't. I mean, it's nothing against DCS, but you got to understand that like physics and all the stuff, it's zeros and ones, and there's a lot of intangibles in how things happen. Little things.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard to, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is a 204 jet? That's VFA 204. So Strike Fatron 204. Physical forces on your body, like the Hornet would talk to you. And I tried talking to Wags about that. Is just the buzz, the Lex buzz, when you got over 400 knots.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But anyway. All right, man. I think that's plenty of questions. We have exhausted everything.
Found the end of the internet.
Please sign up for the Folds of Honor Fight for Honor 2020 or donate foh.org/fight for honor. I think if we can get this tournament going and it could be a success and this AI thing is good, then we're looking at a much better place for next year and for other tournaments. Like there's the option of doing like a bombing competition and stuff like that. So the more participation, the more interest, the better off we're going to be, and the more money we raise for Folds of Honor. So Gonky, dude, awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking your Monday night away from your land business, and go subscribe to Gonky's channel at the Ready Room, right? That's what you're calling it these days. The other day I just typed in Gonky, and you're the first thing that pops up, so to speak. If you just type Gonky into YouTube, it'll show up. So, Bad Guy 27 says Mover versus Gonky in Tomcats.
I'm gonna lose,
dude.
I can't.
Here's even better, dude. You need to be my Rio.
I don't even know how to be a Rio in the Tomcat, man. What are we gonna do? Pass out from the G's?
No, I think you just complain the whole time and then eject.
Oh no, I hold the camera.
You hold the Polaroid. You do hold the Polaroid camera.
I hold the VHS.
You hold the Polaroid. There you go. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna say goodbye to the people. Thanks for being here. Got anything else to say before I cut you loose? No,
like we said, sign up. I really, really would love it if a human beat AI. That'd be awesome. So please sign up.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, we'll see you next one. Hold on. All right. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Appreciate Gonky for being on the channel. Please sign up, foh.org/fightforhonor. Donate to Folds of Honor if you don't want to participate. But remember, it's for charity. So, you know, suck with confidence, lose with honor. That is going to be my new motto for this tournament from here on out. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Excuse me. Oh, no. Oh! About a lot of that. Actually, fine with the doors off. All box speed. Don't be a douche. That's rule number 1. Make them tell you no.